Hi, and welcome back. My name is Michael S Garner, writer, drawer, creator of an online comic book called Visions of the New, that you can find at visionsofthenew.com. And today I am going to do a review, a light review. I'm going to actually start to do this where I'm going to, if I'm not able to get on it right away, then I'm still going to do the damn review because I miss out on so many things where I can't do a video right away about it. And it's like a month later that I just said, you know what, I'm going to do backtrack reviews. So I'm still going to get my voice out there. And this is my opinion of a series that is something that is kind of dear to my heart. I like the Underworld series. And I know a lot of people don't care, but I'm still doing it. And so here's my review of Underworld Blood Wars. So first off, I want to say these two characters right here have kind of been the forefront of women superheroes in movies right now. And I know that some people don't like to recognize them that way, but they've been here since 2002. One being a video game adaptation, another one being a direct to Hollywood written script. But since Blood Wars came out first, I wanted to talk about Selene's progression as an action hero since the beginning of the series up until now, quickly. I know a lot of fans voiced the same complaint that I did on the first Underworld movie, which was the fact that Selene was basically using her guns more than she was using her hands when she was fighting, despite the fact that she's supposed to be this incredibly skilled death dealer. In the second film of Underworld, they actually listened to the fans a little bit and decided to make her more of the focus of the film, other than just Michael being the hybrid vampire werewolf that he was and being so incredibly powerful. They made Selene more combative with her hands. She was actually kicking a lot of butt without actually raising any of her guns. On top of that, as part of the storyline, they made her meet the very first immortal that started the whole line of vampires and werewolves. His sons were basically the development of every one of the werewolves and vampires that exist in the Underworld world. And at the end of this whole meeting, he winds up getting almost killed by one of his sons, and she is actually told to drink his blood, which ups her power level to Marcus or Victor's strength, which was proven when she went head-to-head with Marcus, who is the original vampire of this world. After a long bloody battle, Selene kills Marcus, and Michael kills his brother, the werewolf, original werewolf of this world. When it came time for the next Underworld movie, they basically even put it a step further and made Selene the very center of the whole story. With the exception of her child, that was a new thing that they brought into the story. Michael was missing, nowhere to be found, supposedly dead. We'll talk about that in Blood Wars. But from the moment she stepped on the screen, she was kicking everybody's ass and holding her own without even one gun in her hand. Despite what the poster may actually show you right now. But that was the case. And I basically was really, really happy with the Underworld Awakening story and the actual movie itself. I was a little bit confused of why they were getting rid of Michael, because they tried to make him such a pivotal role in the franchise, but I like the fact that they still try to bring the focus completely to Selene herself. Now, about Underworld Blood Wars. Right off the bat, I want to say that I enjoyed the movie, but I had certain issues with what they did with Selene. They kind of went backwards. But I want to say, for anybody who's not a fan of the franchise, I don't think that you're going to like it at all. And if you don't like the franchise, don't see it. That's what I say. I do wish that this movie made more money, but it didn't do that well at all. But I do understand the fact that it's been around for a while. And it has lost some fans and everything throughout the years, and I completely understand that. Things just sometimes fade away. It's not like it has the benefit of being something like Star Wars or anything like that, where it has all that lineage and it has all that popularity. But I know people hate to have that comparison, but I just had to say something. So Also, I just want to add, I really do hate the fact that people always compare it to Matrix. Oh god, she's wearing black leather. That's the only people who could have ever done that. Yeah. It's happened a lot before. The Matrix may have made the look a little bit more popular, but they are not the ones who basically coined the whole black leather thing. And the slow motion thing, for that matter. Period. But moving on! With the absence of Michael, they seem to want to bring another male figure to the forefront, and that happened to be Theo Jones's character, and I cannot remember his name for the life of me in this movie, but he was in the previous Underworld movie. And he did a good job and everything like that. I have no really complaints about Theo James, but I was kind of upset that they tried to make him like the big new focus of the movie. But I did like the fact that when they brought him in, they said that his mother was, spoiler alert, Amelia. I actually really love the character of Amelia, and we never really got to see too much of her. Just even the actress doing the role, she's basically a part of the big trinity of this vampire world. And sadly, she was killed in the very first Underworld movie. But they did bring her back in, basically, remembrance scenes in the second movie, in battle, which was very cool. But they brought a new protagonist, a new girl. I thought that the actress, she did a really good job. But when she actually got what she wanted, which was Selene's blood, it was just kind of, I don't know, annoying because she was supposed to get all powerful, but she really didn't get too much more power. And Theo James, spoiler again, Theo James basically kills her, and he does a pretty good job of it. It's not like he was out-battled or whatever. Marius. Of course, you have to bring in another villain into the movie that could actually match Selene in power and everything like that, but he was whipping her ass around like nothing. And I kept thinking, I basically kept thinking, oh, here we go again, we're going backwards again. The strong female character is now becoming the whipping post. And she was getting thrown around no matter what she did. In every scene, she kept getting beaten. But then they did something that kind of surprised me. They said that his blood, he was basically taking Michael's blood the whole time, and that was how he got his powers. And it made sense because Marius even had like the haircut that Michael had. They did everything reminiscent of Michael. That he was reminiscent of Michael. It was all basically right in front of you, but I don't know why I just felt like an idiot, because I guess I wasn't really, when I watch these movies, even though I do like the stories and I like the fact that Underworld took a scientific approach to vampires and werewolves, I don't go too deep with the story because the story's good, but it's not amazing or anything like that. And it also came out on a hard time. It came out on a time when Buffy the Vampire Slayer was popular and people were relating more to stuff like that and how they portrayed werewolves and vampires, especially in more the traditional way. And I love Buffy. I'm the hugest fan of Buffy. I've said that 1,000 times before. Influenced a lot of my writing and everything. But Underworld kind of took some flack for that, and people, they liked it, but they kind of gravitated towards the more traditional vampire roles and everything like that with the stake and the holy water and all that stuff. And none of that is present in an Underworld movie. But yeah, I completely, getting back on track, I completely just didn't see it coming. And I was kind of surprised. I'm like, oh, but that makes sense then. Because if he had the power of Michael in him, then that basically means that he should be able to be toe-to-toe with Selene, if not stronger. And she was basically already defeated during the movie anyhow, because she kind of gave up because she had lost Michael. She lost her daughter. She lost her daughter basically by choice because she wanted her to go into hiding because she knew everybody was going to be hunting her. And it made her really sad, and that would make anybody sad. She basically lost her whole world. And it all started to come together more, but there was just things about the movie that I couldn't ignore, like they didn't have the same budget that they would have before, because there were certain scenes where I was like, ooh, that was bad. There was a fighting scene between her and the main protagonist, whatever, the main villain, her boyfriend, who I love him also. He was King Arthur in the Merlin TV series. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the Merlin TV series, I appreciated his work in it. And he was basically the boy toy for her. She had a fight with him, and it was so badly choreographed I couldn't look at it. I was like, oh god, this is awful. but whatever. And it was kind of like a Lifetime vampire movie this time around. But I still appreciated it and I still watched it, obviously, and I still sat through the whole thing because I want the franchise to still go on and I still want to see her story and where they want to take the world eventually. But obviously, they're going to take the world wherever the money actually takes it to. So if it made enough money to actually garner a new film, which I don't know at this point if it did. I didn't do the math on it and I didn't want to bother because I'm hopeful, but I had this funny feeling it might be the last movie. But we will see. And at the end, when she had her final fighting scene with Marius, it was very quick, and he beat the crap out of her again, and we found out this whole revelation about Michael. And she did a nice bloody, like, rip out his spine thing, which was kind of cool, but it just kind of like, that was it. She was done. And she's like, okay, Michael's dead. It's like, what else is there? There's only my daughter, and I'm fighting this stupid war. And they kind of brought it all full circle where the rest of the vampire clan brought her in and made her basically one of the top 3 advisors of all the vampires, and that was kind of cool. And I also have to mention they brought in the Nordic vampires, which a lot of people like the visual look of them. I felt like they were basically from Amazon Island, and they all wore white. But there were males in there. There were plenty of males. That was fine. But literally, the one girl, she came out, the one that you see in a commercial in the trailer tons of times, she came out with a sword and a shield, and she looked like Wonder Woman. I was going, gosh, this is just... Wonder Woman's coming out in March, and they're already on it. That's great. But it was fun to watch and everything like that. But I think the reason why I didn't like that as much also is because the whole thing about the Nordic vampires was they believed in an afterlife and in a heaven or hell. As far as from what I could tell when they were talking, she more mentioned death, but how she referred to it was like it was a heaven and a hell. And that kind of goes against the scientific part of how they represented vampires and werewolves throughout the Underworld story, which was basically, if we remember, recap really quickly, which is basically Corvinus, the one who she drained the blood from, who died in the second movie, who was the very first immortal ever on a planet. He was the one who started the bloodline, and he had 2 children, and he had Marcus, and he had William, and Marcus was the vampire, and William became the werewolf. And that's how it started the whole thing of werewolves and vampires. It wasn't about like a curse or anything like that. It wasn't about any of that. It was just basically about the genetics that were passed down. That's why I say there's no crosses, there's no holy water, there's none of that. And so that kind of goes into the face of that when you start to mention things like heaven and hell and stuff like that, because it shouldn't even be like a discussion. But it did give Selene new cool power. She has her little flashing powers where she can run around now, and she has a little streak of white in her hair like Rogue. And I think that was a new thing. You need to put some color in there and stuff. But I still hope even if they do a new movie, they'll still keep the dark tone and a dark. Just the whole dark element of it, because if you go too light with a series like that, it just doesn't make any sense. And I know a lot of people are used to Marvel movies and stuff like that, and superheroes, how they're represented now, but this is not technically a superhero. This is just a cross between horror and action adventure. And I just hope that they don't steer towards that. But all in all, the movie was okay. It just wasn't my favorite of the whole franchise. I even liked Rise of the Lycans even more. And even though Rise of the Lycans, the whole movie, you basically knew exactly what was going to happen. And that was the part that just annoyed me just a little bit. It's like, I know everything is going to happen because if you paid attention to the story in the first 2 movies, you know exactly how this has to end. But some people didn't remember that and they didn't care. So it was almost like a separate movie. But Underworld Blood Wars, I have to say that it was a good movie, but it wasn't a great movie for the franchise. I hope that they continue with it, but if it does end here, I think it would be okay if it ends here. And even at the end of the movie, we got to see that her daughter came back, and that's fine. I think that's where I hope that they will end it. So I think it would be really sad if this was the end of the Underworld series, because I enjoyed it. Kind of grew up with it now, if I kind of think of it that way. Ever since basically after high school, I watched it. But if it goes away, it had a good run. They made their money. I think that they did a well-constructed series, despite the fact of what some people may say, and I enjoyed it throughout. And the progression of Selene and basically Selene. That's basically it. Michael, yay, dead. Whatever. But you know what I mean. Basically, that's what the whole video was for. But that is my review of Underworld Blood Wars, and just my opinion of the progression of Selene's character and why I enjoy the series itself. If you want to, check out my website, Visions of the New, visionsofthenew.com. That has my online comic book that I write, draw, and blah, 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 blah. You know that. I already said in my other videos. But yeah, I write, draw, and I create, and I do an online comic book, Visions of the New, which will be coming to an end pretty soon. And I will be starting another series called The Alignment, which are characters that I wanted to introduce, but I decided to actually put them in their own series and continue a side story of Jacob Knight, because that's something that's true to my heart. I'm kind of gearing towards those characters and that work because they just make me really happy, and it's something that I'm more passionate about than the Visions of the New line and the 5 characters that are there. I worked on them very hard, but for some reason they're not completely in my heart like The Alignment is and Jacob Knight, who's a part of Visions of the New. So there is one person from Visions of the New who will be in a new lineup. And hopefully I'll get that out soon. And I hope you guys have a great day. If you want to subscribe to my page for more reviews and everything, just do it right down there. And also, if you have any comments or any suggestions, let me know. Good night.